Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm TyJon, sitting down with my good friend Alex Girard from NoRobot, plus 80 other things. Do you want to just start with all the other things you've been working with, or the projects?
Yeah. The newest of which is called Escape Rope. That's a Pokemon reference for y'all. It started once we were listening to this band, Heaving. I don't know if I brought it up the last time I was on with you, because I think it was at the very beginning of it, the project starting.
Well, so I think you had sent me a couple, like, rough demos of stuff, but that was about it. I mean, I remember those being a little bit, because you just sent me some today that sounded really, really clean.
Thank you.
They're definitely sounded tighter and kind of more professional, so that's awesome, and kind of go in that direction. And I like the songs quite a bit too, so
appreciate that.
It was kind of like punk a little bit, like, but I don't know, how would you describe it?
Well, the main genre I've been going with is emo, like, I guess, just because to me that's such a foreign genre. I never really listened to it a lot. I wasn't super into it when it came out, honestly. I was always more of like alternative, grunge sort of stuff. And I think when alternative music was dying, emo was getting really huge again. And I think I resented it a little at the time, maybe. But it's been nice seeing like a lot of these newer groups. A lot of the scene around Central Illinois that's really been popping off has been kind of in that emo, indie kind of genre. And we kind of wanted to start this band to kind of jump into that and explore that, because I've been going to a lot of shows the last year or so, and they've been so much fun, and it's just been all that sort of stuff, you know. I wouldn't want to like really try to push so much for NoRobot to, I guess, fit in that role, jump in that scene. Dusty Lemon certainly is not going to have anything to do with that. I mean, I'd love to if they'd have us, but I don't think it'd really mix. So we just wanted to try something new. And I started working with Kyle Holiday, who's playing with Of Chains right now, to do some vocals for us and really help round out these songs. And I think at the time I sent you those demos, it was just me and him writing and recording. We had a few other members in mind. We finally got those members on board. I'm happy to report we've finally all played music together, because there was a while we were just recording at home, listening to stuff, you know. And we got some shows coming up, some dates coming up in March and May. So
all right, you may as well just say them up front here. What are the
so some of these have not been confirmed, but we got offered to play at Night Shop on March 11th, opening for the Dolly Rots, which should be like a pretty good show. Also March 25th at Night Shop. I don't remember who's on that. The 22nd, we are for sure playing at Meltdown. And also the 19th of May, I believe we're playing at Meltdown. Details on all that to come. I don't think all that's been announced yet. So,
where's the best? Is it Facebook or Instagram? Kind of the best to follow.
I think Facebook would probably put out more details. Instagram, both are great. Follow us on there. Escape_rope_music on Instagram. Just Escape Rope on Facebook. I'm the one in charge of both those accounts, so I'll try to keep up the best I can.
And then, so speaking of the Night Shop, you've been running that open mic. Pretty much, is it Thursdays, or it kind of changes, right?
It kind of changes. I know, a lot of it has to do with them not being open on Monday or Wednesday. And if we don't have a show Thursday, we normally want to do something there. I've also been working the door there and stuff, so come by, say hey. So it's normally a Thursday, sometimes Friday. You know, it might get moved around once kind of show season picks up a bit more.
Yeah, these slow months are always, it's good to have something like that to keep you fresh on stage, and kind of be doing something.
No, I totally agree. It's been good practice. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of meeting new people and even collaborating with some of those people.
Yeah, do you end up and play, or do you just kind of host it?
I like to get up and play a little bit. I remember, so my buddy Matt Miller, real funny comedian around town, nemesis of Sammy Hot Dogs. They are not the same person. I don't know where anyone's getting that information from. I've heard that before. It's crazy anyone would think that. Sammy's our boy in the Dusty Lemons. We have to really keep those guys separated, oil and water or whatnot. But anyway, Matt hosted the open mic before me last year, and he kind of took me under his wing, kind of showed me the ropes, because I've never really done much like that. I always just view myself more as a guitar player, musician. I can be a front man. I can do a little bit of audience stuff, but host seemed to be pushing it a little bit.
Right.
But he showed me a lot of what to do, kind of timing, what you're trying to run and stuff. So I like to get up there, play like 3 songs, get everyone up. Sometimes if I got to buy someone some time, if we're running a little bit slow, I'll get up again. And I like to close out the night, kind of. Yeah, it's been great. We've had a lot of stacked nights the last couple times we had it. Been going to close almost.
Right. And then do people just sign up online for that open mic?
Yeah, we have an email. I believe it's nightshopopenmic@gmail.com. You can sign up there. You can message me. A lot of people just message me, anywhere on social. And I'll get you down and we'll get you up there. We've never had anyone not have time for anyone, and I'm happy to not get up there if we need to make a little extra room. Also, a great thing about it, too, is sometimes we'll have people ask me to get up, play with them. We'll have a lot of people get up together. A lot of collaboration, a lot of fun stuff going on there. So even if you're not going to play, make it out. Also, we've had comedians, mentalists. As long as...
That's a new one. Mentalist, I've never seen it. Comedians, obviously, because they're kind of along the same vein, but never a mentalist. Yeah,
it was. I did a Sammy Hot Dogs variety show with this guy named Andy. God damn it, I can't remember it now. It's been a while since he's been in. I blame it on you, Andy. It was like Andy the Incrediblest or something like that. It was something that wasn't phonetically pleasing. But he kind of just went up and he would read stuff kind of like out of a sealed envelope with his mind. He'd have everyone kind of write stuff down. He'd read it with his mind, and it was always pretty good. But anyone who wants to come out, try some stuff up, come out. We'll get you up there. It's a good time. It's a good way to get your feet wet if you've been thinking about trying for a long time too.
And just along that same vein, I've been running an open mic every second Monday in Pontiac, my hometown. New place opened, the 202 Alive Again, which used to be the old Duffy funeral home that they turned into a kind of, I don't know. It's like a community center almost to an extent. Like they're trying to do events, lots of events for kids, but then they'll throw in like really solid shows because they have a whole PA and like set up in one of the rooms, and they've had some really talented people. One of the guys that I did sound for there had recently won American Idol. I think his name Lee DeWise. And,
oh no shit!
And it was literally a definite, for Pontiac especially, a next level kind of performance. And there's not a lot of places in Pontiac to see that type of. It's a very intimate like listening room, and it's kind of geared more towards original music because the guys Steve and Michael that own it, run it, they love music, they love original stuff. And I just think it's a really cool thing for the town of Pontiac. When I was young, I would have loved to have a place that I could just go and play. There was a couple little spots that would open and close throughout, like when I was a little bit younger and living in that town. And because there was like a little community center for, I think I played one show there. But this definitely seems more maybe long term, and it's definitely a positive thing for the community in general. But then to add that, my area that I'm obsessed with, the music stuff, they really keep a tight ship. They keep good original artists coming in, and they've been doing the open mic. So I think it's a really cool thing, just to go and support the younger musicians kind of coming up and get them some stage time. And I go there, I get to just try some stuff. I don't really have to really focus on like necessarily my rehearsed set list that I've been working on for 10 years or whatever. Of the 5 hours of music, I can throw some weird ones, maybe some newer songs I'm working on writing. It's a good way just to kind of test those things out.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just usually a good time. I mean, if you can get the vibe right, it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's how I approach it for me is, at least like my personal side of my playing in that is I'll try to learn something new, maybe start out within those first 3 just to mix it up a little, keep it interesting. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the night, when I like to close things out, I'll go a little bit longer and maybe just have a bit more fun with it. Do some weird ones I wouldn't normally try to pull out. Just have some fun with it. It's been great, and we've had some bleed over from the Jazz Up Front open mic. They do a fantastic job up there, it's leading to a lot of things are coming out of. We have Front Street Collective coming out of that Jazz Up Front open mic, like a whole new band that's just unbelievably good. And I think we're actually playing with them on March 9th, NoRobot. Not sure who else is playing that yet. At the Coffee House. And then some of those, there's been a lot more of a hip-hop scene, too, that I wasn't aware of until I've been hosting these open mics, seeing the Jazz Up Front open mics, We just had Bigelow T come by and record on some old NoRobot songs.
Cool.
He was coming by, he was doing the open mic, he was killing it. He's been releasing music, check out his stuff on Spotify. And he was just telling me, he was like, oh, I really like that the album you just put out, but I liked your guys' first one too. And there's a lot of instrumentals on that. I was like, if you want to rap over something, like, feel free. And he felt inclined to write and came by, laid some stuff down, and we might put that out too, at the very least, maybe perform it live on the 9th of March. But it's that would never happened if not for the open mic. So it's a good opportunity for a lot of things,
Right. And I met a musician that kind of a little bit younger than me, and he hadn't really played a lot, and seeing somebody go up there. I mean, he's a fantastic singer. His name's Aaron Newsom. Just kind of started playing guitar a little while back, kind of new to guitar, but his vocals are pretty incredible. So I'm like, come play some shows with me. Come play my breaks if you want some extra stage time and stuff. And he's been coming out, and it's just awesome to see somebody who kind of who wants to kind of get their feet wet with it, and then like they really just blow everybody away kind of out of the gates, and then they start to just all the doors start to open, and that's all through that open mic. It's like you get a lot of extra connections, you get a lot of extra avenues, you meet a lot of musicians. If you want to start a band, for instance, it's a good place to kind of meet other musicians to get going on that. And it's just been a lot of fun, and it's fun to see it once you do it like for a long period of time. You get your regular players that come back, and like you start to see them kind of progress because they have an avenue to get on stage and really. Yeah. I remember when I first started, I was doing about 3 open mics every week for multiple years, 2-3 years, something like that, before I started to get my real shows. And I just thought that was a great way just to kind of meet people, make connections, but also get that stage time, because at that early level it's so hard sometimes, because you don't even have enough material necessarily to do an actual set, and you're kind of building that hour at least probably, and then you start to get real shows that maybe can throw some money at you and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, it's a great way to get moving. If you're sitting around and you're playing guitar and singing, thinking, I would like to do something with this, I think that's probably step one. And I mean, like, there's a lot of mechanics too that go into
playing shows and stuff that besides the songs and whatever else that you get a better feel for, like you said, with the stage time, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just going up, being well practiced, it's dealing with playing in front of people,
through a sound system. I mean, if you're not,
sound system.
If you haven't done that a ton of times, I can't even tell you how weird. The first time I sang into a microphone with speakers, and it's a different experience if you haven't done that. So even just that, like getting comfortable hearing your voice through the PA and how to kind of control your voice through a PA, because it is a little alien the first few times you do it, and you takes even now I struggle with that at times.
Oh yeah, and there's like equipment failure, and there's like it wouldn't be a show if something didn't go wrong, is what I always say. And there's just you learn what to expect and how to deal with things, and kind of cut through it a lot too, because there's only so much you can do. And I think, just like anything else you do, just getting that practice in.
Kind of a funny side story along that vein. The Aaron Newsom kid came out. I shouldn't call him kid. He's probably would be considered an adult. To me, he's a little younger. So, anyhow.
Well, we're old men.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But he came out and did a show with me, actually, at the Run in Aaron's. That's the shirt I'm wearing randomly. Wasn't planning on telling the story, but I had it all scripted. I planned it. So, it was my break, and he was doing his thing up there, and there was a person up front just kind of being obnoxious. She started kind of asking people for money, like at the bar, and like they ended up and had to throw her out, and they threw her out right in front of where he was playing. So it's like, that kind of experience you can't get in your bedroom, and you don't even get at a lot of normal shows, I think. But just learning how to kind of roll with that live, that would have been a very new experience for Aaron, I'm sure, to be on the other side of that. Because if it would have happened during mine, I've been through similar situations a bunch of times, and I wouldn't be so caught off guard by it, and it was not a pleasant experience on any front. You don't like seeing any part of that, really. I mean, the person make it, and I think what happened, I don't want to speak too out of turn. I didn't see this, but I heard this, that she actually went up and kissed Aaron while he was playing. Like, I don't think it was like I think she just caught him. It wasn't like a full like tongue or anything. But anyway, so obviously very uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's like, how do you adapt and deal with that in real time? I'm sure it was a pretty wild experience, a good story for him to have, but I'm sure, just doing that, now he's more ready for anything.
Yeah.
He knows the potential of what can happen.
Yeah, that it can get crazy up there sometimes.
And then the window was right behind where we were playing, and you're seeing the scene happen of the cops come and pick this lady up, and she's not wanting to go with them.
Oh my god!
It's like a show outside of my show, So
yeah.
I ended up and was providing the background music, I suppose.
Oh man, that's
I felt like everybody's looking at me, and then I glanced back, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're looking at. Like, it's not how well I'm doing. It's the crazy thing going on behind me.
It's a little bit of both. You guys can work
that's
in concert together. So to speak,
tried to make it more of a dinner and a show, I suppose.
Play songs by the Police.
Yeah,
just have a medley for next time that happens.
I did play Creep pretty much right after that. I know you're not a big Radiohead guy, but it was kind of a creepy situation to be kissed while you're playing. Again,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, but unfortunately, it happened to the new guy.
Man. You're gonna learn someday, kid.
Yeah,
might be today. Look out.
You gotta learn how to bob and weave, I think, when some stuff like that happens. But who can really prepare for that specific situation? But if anybody's ready now, it's Aaron Newsom. Anyway, sorry.
Oh man,
I digress.
That's wild. We haven't had any instances like that. I was thinking about it in terms of I've been running the door now too, so we've had to throw a few people out.
I bet.
But nothing too crazy. Just a little too drunk. You show up at the bar a little too drunk,
and
they might not serve you anymore.
Ultimately, that I think was the main problem.
Oh yeah.
At the call. I mean, that's kind of, I think, in a nutshell, what the bottom line to any crazy thing that happens at shows is.
Yeah.
There's just one person that's a little too drunk, or a few people that are a little too drunk, and whatever they're doing is gonna be kind of a weird display, or weird. They're gonna say some things that are uncomfortable, or do some things that are uncomfortable. I mean, in my experience, I think. That's usually the case.
Yeah, it's a wild world out there. You introduce alcohol, it gets a little bit weirder, a little bit wilder.
Well, it's just like not all people who drink alcohol are created equal. So I mean, as far as their tolerance for what they can do, and I feel like some people they're such good drinkers. They're even maybe it enhances the hangout when you're with that person, and then there's some people that just cannot do it. They get the shark eyes, and it's just like all bets are off. It's
riding the tiger,
right?
But anyway, riding the tiger chasing the dragon. But
it's like a movie, right? What's the two different movies?
Oh no,
that's a Rocky Eye of the Tiger. Rocky 3.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
And Crouching Tiger, Hidden. So I was going, nice. Very nice. Anyhow, so what else is going on? You got some shows coming up. You've been running the open mic.
Yeah, a lot of shows coming up. Just got done with quite a few shows. We had a run of Dusty Lemon shows that were pretty fun. We played Morris, Illinois last weekend, which was interesting.
Where'd you play it in Morris?
Clayton's Tap.
I've played there.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool bar. Like they had that back room back there with the stage and stuff, and then the bar looked.
We never played in the back room. We always played right when you walked into the right.
Oh, okay, yeah. They had like a pool table there. Well, we were playing with like.
It's been a while, so I'm sure they probably moved some stuff around.
Yeah. They had like a couple full bands with us, but Dusty Lemons was just me and Toads that night. We'll have Sammy Hot Dog sometimes. I'd like to get like 20 people up there just milling about. Actually, when we put out our EP or our album, I'd like to have a little songbook available for people. I thought it would be a cool idea, where it just has very basic tabs. Like they're all just cowboy chords. And then lyrics with like the gang vocals highlighted, so you could just distribute them to the masses, and anyone who wants to be a Dusty Lemon can join along, as long as we just publish that stuff first,
right?
Or
well, copywriting's weird. As soon as you make the thing, technically it's copyrighted.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys know
it's not officially copyrighted, I guess, but
yeah. Well, we don't operate within the law normally anyway,
right,
so it's okay. And if anyone wants those songs, they can have them, I guess. But
well, now they're gonna take them and use this video.
Fuck.
He gave me consent. These are my songs.
All right, scrub that. Blur my face. Yeah, but it was interesting. Anytime someone asked us to play, especially out of town, I think this was our first out of town gig. I'm just like, why would you book us? You know what we do. It's not always for the masses as much as I want to include y'all. It's very screamy folk punk, like
specifically the Dusty Lemons.
Yeah, specifically the Dusty Lemons. NoRobot we're great for all ages, public events. Love playing with the Town of Normal. Escape Rope, similar thing. Open more for some house show stuff, but Dusty Lemons is more for the streets, I guess.
From the streets for the streets.
Yeah, by the streets, in the streets. Yeah. So. And
you don't. I mean, generally, even with NoRobot, you don't do a ton of out of town gigs, right? Or
no.
Here and there for sure.
We've played like some out of town festivals.
Right.
No, we don't. I don't know. I don't really look to book a lot of far distance stuff. We normally play a lot of what we're asked anymore.
Right.
And they've been getting a little bit fewer and far between with NoRobot. So definitely catch us when you can. Like February 17th at Night Shop is the next show we got. Next show I got coming up after the 10th with the Dusty Lemons and Ryan Wolf.
It's it's a lot to keep track of. You got 8 different calendars. It seems
it's starting to add up. I have to color code everything because you got
you'll show up for a NoRobot show, but you'll be in the Dusty Lemons mindset.
Oh man, that'd be a disaster.
But I think you would manage.
Yeah, we got about one or two Dusty Lemon songs maybe suited for public events. But this bar gig, it was kind of perfect. I think it went over pretty well. Toes just kept saying, "I hope it's not a cop bar, so we don't get pulled over right after we leave or something," because we're singing songs about fighting cops. Luckily, it wasn't. As soon as we went in there, though, I saw on the wall they had a giant cop car hanging on the wall, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Well, maybe it's because they destroyed it.
Well, it was the Blues Brothers driving. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, they hate cops too, so it all worked out."
Yeah. It's been a while since I think probably 3, 4, maybe 5 years since I've played it. So I mean, I'm sure it's changed quite a bit. That was back when Dave was playing with us all the time too. It was Dave, Lowe, and I.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it was a while back, but those were always fun shows.
Yeah, it was a cool place. I think before that we did the Sammy Hot Dogs variety show. We were the house band, which was a lot of fun. We were just up on stage, being total goofs, playing up comedians, joking around with Sammy, just being silly.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's a very undervalued part of being a musician. I think is the stage because what you're doing with Dusty Lemons and kind of hosting the open mic night, those are skills that translate so good, I think, to just performing, because you can think of it more like it's like a part you're playing. And I think to some extent, I mean, obviously not to the same extent, but even in NoRobot, it's a show still.
Right.
how to keep a crowd engaged, how to keep a crowd kind of into what you're doing. I'm sure, at least for me, what I've been trying to get into my own thick skull is that, being interactive and talking to people, engaging the crowd.
Yeah.
Those are that's a skill set that super valuable to have, and I think can elevate what you're the music to the nth degree if you can get really good at that side of things, because you do have a microphone in front of your face, and you're trying to entertain a crowd of people. You're trying to
well, you're trying to sell yourself a little bit too, or get them in on the it's not so much like you're trying to sell them on anything kind of, but you want them in on the fun with you. And and you're kind of hosting in a way, if you're throwing a party or something and you just want everyone to have a good time. It's something that, as much as I feel like I can talk to people, it's something that didn't really come too naturally to me, the inclination to do it while playing either.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many shows I've played where I just, I'm so into especially the one-man band thing, where I'm always trying new pedals and trying to make it a bigger sound and doing my own sound already. I can get kind of locked into just playing music and going from song to song to song, not really saying anything the whole time. And I don't know, just as of recently, I'm trying to wrap my head around the mindset of I have to pull people in. It's not really, I mean, the music will do it sometimes. I'm not saying it never does it, but you play at some of these places I play at, and it's you have to work a different way almost. It's you have to try to get I've been trying to be more conversational, trying to ask people what they want to hear more, trying to just be oh, do you like this song? And if they seem really excited, I'll play that one. But if I don't get much of a response, I'll move. I won't even play that song. I'll pull through my set list and be of course, and then pull my originals in. If the crowd's already engaged, if you can get them engaged, they're more open to original music for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because I think I normally, I'd play some covers, then I'd throw in a couple originals, maybe one or two here and there. throughout the night. But, you know, even if I give my little spiel, my story, like try to be more of that, you know, storyteller kind of vibe in those certain spaces where I'm just kind of playing song after song, it doesn't really catch the crowd. But if I'm already talking to the crowd and then I tell a story or something, then it's like a whole different thing, because they're really listening at that point and they can kind of appreciate it a little bit.
Well, I remember one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from my mom, who doesn't play music, but she's my dad was a musician like the whole time they dated and stuff, so she's been in it. And she just said something like, as an audience member for over, 30 years or whatever, she said at the time, she was like, no one cares, like, just, like, as far as, like, starting off the show, she was like, don't go up there and give a speech, like, go up there, play, and then, give them a reason to care, kind of.
Yeah.
So I always start off, like, I don't say anything at first. I always start off with a couple of songs, and then kind of, a good way, too, you can kind of siphon a little applause your way, is like, give it up for whoever played before, like, whatever, because also, like, questions can be a little scary with a crowd, like, asking. I never like too much being like, how you doing? It's like falls flat.
Right.
That stings, guys. But like, I definitely try to just work in jokes, and I think too when you're up there by yourself too, you do have a lot more time in between songs, and I think it is always interesting to hear stories behind songs in those contexts and stuff too.
Not all shows are created equally. Like if you play a show at the night shop, I mean, it's gonna be more of a focused room, because I mean the music is the main thing there, and it's loud, and it's gonna kind of encapsulate the room, or it's gonna like fill the room. So it's a little bit easier maybe if the crowd's full to kind of keep people's attention. But I play a lot of shows where it's like
big.
Some. I mean,
like big, like kind of like bar, restaurant, kind of like loud.
And just like, there's a lot of TVs on. There's people didn't necessarily come there to hear music. So trying to grab those people's attention is a little bit trickier, and I wouldn't say I would do like a whole singer-songwriter-y set at those specific places. But I don't like to not play originals. Like, I like to play originals. So it's like, I'm doing 3-hour sets most of the time. So I can definitely squeeze in 10 usually, at least, throughout the night. But, sometimes I'll play them and I won't get as much reaction as I do from playing like some covers that I do. And then, I'll lean back into the covers, because it's like, well, that seems to be what they're, and it's a weird thing to try to play, after you play a song that everybody knows and loves.
You got to keep momentum. You want to keep momentum going, but you still, like, you got to be careful where you sneak them in, for sure. Yeah.
And to just by comparison, because they've heard some of the covers I do that are more like poppy and like those classic songs that everybody wants to hear. I play Wonderwall, stuff like that, or like new modern country stuff. A lot of Zach Bryan I've been kind of doing lately, and I do a couple of Zach Bryan songs, but stuff along that same vein. A lot of the people at a lot of these places are huge country fans, or huge, like if I play Journey, Don't Stop Believin', or Wagon Wheel, or Country Road, or any of those songs that everybody knows and loves, and then I try to throw one of my originals, just by like, doesn't even matter how I perform each song, it's just like they've heard those songs 1,000 times, they know all the words,
the whole bar's singing along,
and then you play a song they've never heard before. So even if your song, I'm not saying my songs are as good as those by any means, but even if you perform it as well, it's just never gonna, you're never gonna have that same reaction. And so it's a really hard thing sometimes to just be like, okay, well, they don't know these songs, but I'm still just gonna shove them down their throat. But it's like, so it's like you have to really pull them in to get them.
I totally agree. And sometimes the room too, like you said, just as far, even volume wise, like you said with Night Shop, it helps, because even if you just have a bar, we got a lot of regulars there that like are just at the bar that might not even be there for the show, but enjoy the show, but kind of have their back turned. And, you know, they'll have like a singer-songwriter show, and the guy's up there telling his story, playing kind of quiet songs. It's so loud there. Even if some people are talking at the bar, like, it really isn't, like, it's cutting through all that shit. Whereas, and I was telling Wolf about this Saturday, February 10th, we're playing Shake It Up, and I played there the day before New Year's Eve. Bridget Lance has been throwing these shows. She's been killing it with this and the Meltdown shows. By the way, real quick, those Meltdown shows have been fucking crazy. Like, I saw videos of the last one. They were like at capacity.
Harrison
Gordon.
Yeah. I've been kind of following
absolutely
him a little bit.
Crushing it.
He's great.
It's unreal, man. Like, I remember like what was it, like last month I saw he was like at like 30,000 monthly listeners, and then I looked this month because I was like, yeah, he's got like 30,000. I pulled up, he was at like 85,000.
Jeez, that's
I'm
great.
like, man, he is
Killing
really
it.
popping off. Like, kudos to that guy. Like,
yeah, and I mean, you know, sometimes when stuff like that, it's easy to almost get a little jealous. But when you listen to his music, you get it. I feel it's so
fantastic.
good that you're just like, I understand.
I've been seeing too. Like, I even saw scrolling through Instagram, like some reel from a house show, him playing from some, you know, just some random Instagram account. I don't think it was like a person there.
Right.
You know, I think it was some like indie music account. Like hundreds of thousands of views, and I was like, I think I was at that show. You know, I was like, it's just wild to see, because it's like, around here at least, it's still, you know, maybe just a couple hundred people, because he's playing these smaller venues that he's just packing. But it's, I mean, he's gonna be able to do a lot of great stuff. I think it's really fucking cool. Awesome. But back to the Shake It Up stuff. That room in there, we're playing. Have you played that venue?
I've played
right?
there, yeah.
And the upstairs. Right?
I got one coming up February 24th, I believe, too. But I played there, I think, I want to say either December or January.
I played there December 30th. I think you played right before me, maybe.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird. They had you know, somebody cancel on them kind of last minute, and then they just needed, or it was like a party that they. It wasn't a musician that canceled. They had something else set up, I think, like for the entertainment, and that fell through. So they needed somebody last minute. So I was lucky enough to, through Bridget, thankfully, she hit me up and asked if I was available, and I randomly had the date available, which almost never happens. So I jumped all over it and was, you know, excited to have something when I had nothing, and it was a really fun show. And the people that Patrick over there, he's like one of the owners, I think, or the main. I don't know if he's the main owner, but,
yeah, I think so.
He's super into music, so I've been kind of talking to him a little bit. I think I'm going to start playing there a little bit more regularly.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, I like that room. It is kind of not fun to load into the upstairs, you know, because I don't, you know, if I was playing like those acoustic shows, it wouldn't be a big deal, but I did my one-man band there, and it was, you know, it was a couple hour set, all my own sound system, everything like that, so getting up those stairs was a little bit rough, but once I was up there, it was a really fun little spot. It's kind of a hidden away little thing, and it was just
loud. It's a loud room though, like I will say, like
it's got low ceilings.
Yeah, and it just like you get a lot of people in there at the bar and stuff. And when I guess maybe just not having the monitors. When I was playing,
you need to get monitors. Why don't you have monitors?
I mean, I didn't bring my PA. I don't know. They should get some monitors up there, but
you could always just bring a little powered speaker, right? Just play.
Yeah, I mean, for 30 minutes set,
you're right,
I'm fine not hearing myself. But I did tell Wolf though, I was like, hey, like, just so you know, like, might not want to play anything like super quiet, or like if you're thinking about what to play. I know I had a couple songs that were a bit more like, it wasn't the talking part, but it was kind of playing like where I'm singing a little quiet, real quiet, sad song. It was just like, it wasn't cutting through. At least for me, it felt like you had more crowd noise than me. Thankfully, we're playing Dusty Lemon songs this weekend, so that will not be a problem.
No quiet.
It's going to be very rowdy. Yeah.
you know, that's part of the reason I think I end up and do the one-man band stuff a lot, because some of my songs are a little bit slow or sad sometimes, and it's not just my original, some of the stuff I cover, but I feel like doing the foot drums and having a bass and the synth sound, it's like a bigger sound for those kind of quieter songs, so it still kind of can cut through to an extent.
Well, it's weird, like, because I've written a few songs lately that I really like them, but they're so like quiet and even just low, like for my singing voice, where like, when you get to that register, your voice is kind of cutting out or you're not projecting a lot.
Right.
But I've tried throwing a capo on these and moving them up a little bit, and I think it hits better when it is low and quiet like that. So I don't know. It's something where I really want to record these, maybe put them on a solo thing this year, but I don't know. I keep going back and forth if these are like, I really like it. I'd love to play it out, but I just don't know. When you're singing like where you're not even that audible, I just don't even know if it would come across.
I'll say a couple things about that. I think if you get more into the live sound part of it, you can kind of get around that for sure, because you can make those if it's mixed right and you can hear yourself right and it's projected loud enough, I mean, you can make those songs work. But generally, if you're sharing a PA, you don't necessarily get a proper sound check and stuff, it gets harder to, it's a different animal kind of. So
because even at Night Shop with their loud sound system, I was just like, man, I don't know if this is coming through or not. But I do really like the songs, so it's got me going back and forth.
My suggestion would just be definitely record them and get them out. I think Moss equals better, just more equals better. I think if you got the songs, I mean, and you have a means to record them. I mean, I'm not saying that, a bunch of mediocre songs is better than one awesome song. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that your songs are probably pretty good. I think I may have heard one or two of them. I don't know if you're talking about the same ones.
I think we played that one over here once before you playing the drums or something.
I think they're generally pretty cool songs, and it's like, a lot of songs like that you write, or me anyway, when I write, they'll get lost if I don't record them right away, and they might not, not necessarily that they're my best awesomest songs, but it's like, keep putting stuff out. It might catch somebody, it's not a bad thing if you can get it done well, and you obviously got to believe in the songs a little bit. I'm not saying like if you're really like, the song's garbage and then put it up, but if you believe in it, I think it's better just to, get some version of it up.
Well, I even have like the escape rope stuff. We started that because we saw the Heaving Band. We were seeing shows at Mount Moon, which is another Pokemon reference. That's where we came up with Escape Rope, because I was like, oh, it'd be great if you had a band here, play here called Escape Rope, to the guy who ran the place. And he was like, that would be cool. That's a great band name. And then so eventually, we kind of built this band to do it. I was like, that's the name. But a lot of these songs, like, I wrote back in the day when, I was hearing more of that, when some of that emo stuff was, like, newer to me. I wasn't listening to it, but, like, some of it, I was writing a little bit. That's where rock music was heading, where punk music was heading. I was writing some of that stuff, but I never felt capable of getting it done. I liked the riffs. I like these ideas, but I never felt like I could do a lot with them. But I kept them, and all this year, 15 years later, some of this stuff, almost 20 years later, maybe some of this stuff, it's finally getting used with Kyle, and I think it's getting round out, and it sounds fresh. It doesn't sound like a 15-year-old song.
Well, and I do think that there is some, I don't know, I'm kind of glad that I didn't have the capability to record some of the songs I would have, because when you're younger, you might think you're amazing, and then you listen back and you're like, maybe not. In those earlier phases, and it's if I had a means and knew what I was doing, like with recording and all the. We came up in a little bit weirder time. We were kind of in the transition from CDs to the internet. So I mean, YouTube would have just started, but the idea of having a camera and recording seemed kind of out of the realm of possibility. Now it's so crazy. Everybody has a phone, an iPhone or a smartphone in their pocket that is nicer than any camera I would have ever bought.
Well, also as far as even like audio recording, like I remember like when I was in high school, I was still using like cassette, like 4-track cassette. I got a digital one at some point, but 4-track cassette was still more the thing when I started. And now everyone has like a studio in their house too, and knows how to run it. I really feel like we were. We were right before a lot of that hit, so I still have a hard time.
In some sense, I'm glad, because the stuff I would have been putting out would be out there still.
And then you're more, it's out there. You're committed to it in some way.
And I would just be embarrassed by some of it. We would have done some probably ridiculous things that trying to be funny or like. I don't know. It's got to be a weird landscape to be a young musician or a young comedian or something now today, because, the whole thing is you got to keep putting stuff out. Like, that's what everybody says everywhere for every social media. You got to just keep putting stuff up. Got to keep releasing songs. So if if you're young and you have that mindset and you do that, and maybe you're in the early stages of your development, you haven't really kind of got to a place where you should be doing that. Got to be weird to I don't know. I'm thankful in some ways, but in the same regard, it's like if I would have been doing stuff back then, how much better would I be at it now is the other thing.
Yeah, it does cut both ways. Yeah. But I do have a lot of really bad home recordings from way back in the day, thankfully just to me.
Yeah.
It's funny how I feel like I have a lot more of that. It took a while for my better recordings to catch up.
Yeah.
Seemed to always want to record stuff back then, and then just not so much later. A little bit less productive, I guess.
Yeah, but knowing what and it could be one of those things too. 10 years from now, I'm going to be really embarrassed of the shit I'm putting out right now, but you don't want that to hold you back, though.
No, but that too, like, it's kind of like just on a larger scale, like as a person, right? It's like you look back on yourself 10 years ago and you find ways you were foolish, but that just shows that you've grown. Yeah. You've changed. You don't want to stay the same. So
and musically, hopefully, I think if I quit music today and then I looked back in 10 years, I might be like, oh, I was pretty good. I was all right. I was
killing it.
Because your mindset would be completely different. But the only way I think you look back and you're like mortified at those things is you've progressed. You've become a better musician. Hopefully, if you've been playing for 10 years, you hope to have 10 years of progress in those. So it does mean that you're moving forward, and I guess the hope is that the non-musicians out there won't have the same critical eyes that you have.
Right, and they normally don't. They normally
other musicians will always, but
yeah, exactly. I think it's you're always like your biggest critic, and a lot of people I feel like who aren't musicians it's a lot more on the surface for them, and they kind of smooth over the rough areas that you feel.
You get so, at least me, I get so dived into the details of every note of every song when I'm like trying to make a video, and then even me, if I just like take a break for like a week and I come back and watch it and all the stuff, a lot of the stuff that I was like so annoyed by, and that some of it I can't even remember. Obviously there's still going to be some stuff that I'm still not maybe super happy with, but a lot of the little details, like, and that's something I try to keep in mind when I'm like making stuff, is sometimes if you're like you get to a point where you're kind of hating it, might be a good idea just to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, for sure. But you don't want to burn yourself out.
But I think it's inevitable, especially if you're working at the studio and you're spending money and you're like trying to make something that's great, which is I think the goal of most musicians. I don't think we're really shooting for average necessarily. Some might be, but I'm trying to make mine the best it could possibly be. I'm not saying that necessarily would be great to me, but maybe not great to everybody.
Right. You want to make yourself happy.
Right.
You know,
so
you want to be satisfied.
in doing that, listening to those recordings thousands of times to try to get them there, there's no way to appreciate them in the same way as somebody who has never really gotten into or never heard the song even once before, you know. So
right.
And then you're at least for me, I'm constantly trying to put myself into the shoes of somebody who had never heard the song. To like sometimes when I'm listening, I'm trying to get out of that editor ear, and you just like there's no way to be objective because you're way too close to it. And you know, every with the editing and the mixing and all that stuff and the performing, you know, every mistake you made, and you can only hear mistakes. So it's hard to love it still.
You're not always sitting back there like, man, I really killed that.
I never feel
like a lot of times that's just like, oh, I did the thing I was supposed to do.
Right.
It's not like any extra really gratification. And a lot of that can be really short lived too. I feel like sometimes I have the best show, you know, like the album release show we did. That really warmed my heart, you know, that touched me. It was great to have so many friends out there, you know, it was great to have you out there.
Gone the next week.
Yeah, you know, like, even quicker sometimes. You're like, you know, it's just, and I think there's a big mental health aspect of playing
I think it's
music,
really funny,
you know?
how those shows that are great that you have a good time are so short-lived. Then you have a bad show and it haunts you for like sometimes I'll still be thinking about a month later, like, man, that show was rough. Like what was I
always want to like redemption. Like anytime I've had a bad show, I want to go out and just
again, have a good show.
Put it behind me, put a good show behind me. The times it's the worst is when that is like a month in between for me, which that just that'll eat me up the whole time.
Yep. I mean, even if I do have a good show though, like I'll get back to like I'll start thinking about that one that was rough. I won't think about the good one, you know.
Right,
it's just like it's the way my brain's made up. I think a lot of people's brain kind of works that way. Is like we're so focused on the negative that you don't really bask in the glory of the good. You kind of like, what could I have done to make that, you know, I get in that mindset. Like why was that bad? What was I doing, you know, and try to crack the codes, because it feels so terrible that you just like don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, I'm always really capable of being critical and getting down on myself, and I will say, like, I do really appreciate everyone who you know, says nice stuff and appreciates it, because honestly, like, that amount of overwhelming support has helped me at least worry about it a little bit less. Like, I know, you know, there are still sometimes you have a really bad night, you know, and you're off or nothing's going great for you.
Yeah, it could be gear, could be sound, could be you. I mean, there's a lot of could be
sometimes
crowd.
it just all adds up, and you know,
it could be all those things in one night sometimes.
But I do feel like, you know, we've been doing this long enough that our floor is very high, that even if in our minds, if we have a bad night, I think most of the time we've done our job.
The audience doesn't interpret it the same.
Yeah.
Like they're like, yeah, that was good. Like,
yeah,
they don't have that like, oh, that was the worst show of my whole life.
Yeah, like, man, I can't wait to get out of here.
Hey, that was a really good job. Like,
and you know, so
you're like, yep, that was great. You know, like, oh.
It helps a little bit though. Yeah. It really does though. So like, I mean, it's always appreciated anytime, like, you know, you hear something like that, like, and people are real kind. Like, even hosting the open mic, you know, a lot of the open micers will be like, hey man, like, it's really, you know, I really appreciate you doing that. You do a great job. And I'm not doing much more than, you know, drinking a PBR, playing a couple of songs,
introducing some people.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do at the open mic is I never really, I feel weird introducing myself, you know. Like who am I, you know? Right. Like, I'm your host, Alex Girard. So whenever I go up there, I come up with fake names now too. So I'll be like, I'm your host, Terrence Dactyl, or I'm your host, Roger Victory, or something like that, and just like, you know, just kind of make it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, have fun. That's kind of the point. I think that's, you know, the thing that I often try to gravitate back to once I kind of go, if I get strayed from that idea. That's when I, maybe I have a rough show or something, and then I get so like in my head about everything and trying to analyze and, what could I do? But if you just have fun, that kind of takes a lot of the other stuff like away. Like,
well, it's like you said, the playing the characters stuff, man. That's why the Dusty Lemons is so great for that. It's like just the whole thing's like kind of a goof, and if you fuck up, it only makes it kind of funnier a little bit, like.
And even in my serious, like, TyJon Charlie kind of playing shows kind of mentality, if I fuck up, like, I can't let that devastate.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, most of that stuff is 10 milliseconds or whatever. It's not even a second. And hit a flat note or something here or there, hit a sharp note here or there. And, I think there was a time where I would, sometimes that would bleed into maybe 3 songs after. I'm still thinking about like, I really butchered that second half of that song or something like that. But, if you can just laugh it off, I think a lot of times. And get I think the thing about playing music is you got to remember you're playing. Like you got to keep that playful mindset. And if you don't, I think it can be kind of tough.
Well, it's like what we were talking about too with like it's like hosting a party or something. Like, even if something, you gotta like reassure the audience that everything's okay, that we're having fun, that like mistakes happen, or that's not a big deal to you. Because like I feel like they do kind of follow your cue a little bit on some of that stuff, and I think it helps everyone move past it. Either if you acknowledge it in a funny way, or if you just have like quiet confidence to move past it, their memory gets short too, and then it's quick. But
a lot of times I don't even think they notice the thing.
Well, that too, right?
Yeah,
most of the time they probably don't. Yeah.
If you even address it, you're kind of making it into something sometimes. So, I mean, if you can just stay playful in the moment and kind of keep moving.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that there's definitely a time and a place to, that Aaron Newsom kid, one of the first times he played the open mic, he started one of his original songs, and he messed up, and I usually I'm like, you should just keep playing through it. Nobody's ever heard this song before. It's about, you wrote it, you're just not really recorded. You're playing for a room full of people you've never met before. So it's like, just keep. But the way that he did that, he like made it almost into a little bit, and it was kind of funny, and it like, it kind of put everybody at ease to some extent, and I think that's kind of if you can get in that mindset, which I don't think I really have the comedy gene, but you can still be playful,
Right. I think that is a good word for it too, because some people, maybe they'll start over the song or be a little bit embarrassed. Some people make excuses. It's not, it's not a good look, and I understand where people come from when they're nervous and stuff like that, but it really is like, you're kind of setting the tone. You're the one up there kind of directing not just, what's happening, but like the energy, the mood of the room. So, you're kind of leading people with that too.
And if you want the crowd to be kind of fun and playful, you got to be kind of fun and playful.
I agree. And man, like, honestly, like I said, I can't say enough about how much like the Dusty Lemon stuff, and to that extent, honestly, that Brandon Cattle, like playing that, really opened my eyes up to that aspect of it, because I was always a bit of a perfectionist. I want to be real technical and like play well and do all my stuff, but I have some issues with my arms sometimes too, and one of my biggest fears anymore, my anxieties is my arm just giving out on me in front of people, playing hurt, stuff like that, and I think I just would get caught up in this, not necessarily self-defeating, but you're kind of worried about something before it happens, and I was just being a little bit of a head case.
Well, yeah, getting in that headspace of like just being on the lookout for things that it's hard to be in a fun.
Or if something happens, you focus on it more. But if you're goofing from the start, if you're not taking yourself so seriously, if you're focused more on those things, the fun parts of playing, and then the other stuff just happens. And that's what practice is for. Like, in all the other times, when it comes time to the show, you've already done everything you can do. You just got to go out there and do it, and like you got to like do some different stuff. But you shouldn't be as concerned with your performance, because you've been working on that the whole way through. Now you just got to have your stage presence, roll with the punches, have the confidence, carry through with it, just follow through. But
and if you do like a video or something, you can always look back after and kind of critique, like, okay, this is probably what I need to work on here. And sometimes that might just be the talking in between the songs. But, but anyway, you can always come back to that mindset.
I just remembered one time. I don't remember, and I don't know who it was. We were playing a show, and they were. So the band we were playing with, one of them just was talking a lot in between sets, a lot of time in between, doing bits that really weren't going over, really long in between. And I remember Toad just leaned over to me and he was like, "Hey, good job on the banter tonight." And I was just like, I didn't do any. And he's like, "Yeah, exactly." Like, right. It's walking. You got to walk a line with that stuff, and that stuff's hard too.
Definitely
like,
true. I mean, you can definitely get in that headspace where you're doing too much. I don't have this issue because I struggle the other way, where
right?
It's needing to say more probably than I normally do. But you see some person, just some musician who's talking, like their songs are great, but it takes them a long time to get there, and sometimes it's like you can't even hear them, like the mix and the microphone's bad, like the PA's bad, and they're talking in between, and you can't even understand what they're saying, but they're trying to say these really like either epic or important things, or maybe say some jokes that can't land because nobody can even hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of in a weird spot, kind of uncomfortable, and you're like wondering why people aren't reacting to I'm assuming, if you're on the other side, that why aren't people reacting to anything I'm saying. Yeah. Or
it can make you feel like a lot. You can lose your confidence real quick too, because that's something. I struggle both ways with that. Do a little bit too much, don't do enough. Still finding my middle ground.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we talked about that kind of the last time, about how like when I get a new pedal, it's like I overuse it.
Yeah.
Then you decide, oh, I just can't use it at all because it's just fucking everything up, and then you're like. But there is if you get right in that right middle spot. So I think it's the same with probably this too. You almost have to overdo it a few times to know how to taper it back to the right spot.
Yeah, I totally think so. Just like anything, it's just a lot of practice. That's what that stage time's for. You can try it at the open mic. We only give you 15 minutes, so I will hook you. But
yeah, all right. Well, I think we covered most things. Or I'm sure you'll be back before too long anyway. But do you want to just say where people can find you or hear you or see you?
Yeah, I got a NoRobot. All platforms you listen to music, one word. Hopefully we'll have some music out with these other bands, Dusty Lemons, Escape Rope, even some solo stuff. And then I got a bunch of dates I could throw out.
Yeah, let's just do them.
So this Saturday, February 10th.
Not sure it's going to be out by Saturday. Yeah, probably won't. But you can still say it.
Might not be out. Ryan Wolf's playing, Bridget's throwing it. Shake It Up, February 10th. Acoustic show with the Dusty Lemons. February 17th, playing Night Shop with NoRobot. February 29th, we are playing Night Shop with the Dusty Lemons, Nate Lemons. It's going to be a lemon party. Made in the Shade is going to be doing their lemon shake-ups. Then we got March 9th at Coffee House, NoRobot with Front Street Collective. It's getting thrown by Bigelow T and The Rang. They're putting on a thing with all their favorite bands in town. We're really honored to be a part of that.
Awesome.
They've been super nice. Potentially March 11th at Night Shop with Escape Rope opening for the Dolly Rots. That should be a big show. That should be fun. March 22nd at Meltdown with Escape Rope. That one is for sure yet to be announced. March 25th with Escape Rope at Night Shop. What else do we got? I don't think I have anything for April yet. May 9th, I'm playing solo acoustic at Von Champ's Boutique in downtown Bloomington. They're doing some acoustic acts this spring. And May 19th with Escape Rope at Meltdown. Also, February 15th, I'm playing the Record Heads at McGuire's. That's always a lot of fun. And we do the open mic almost every week at Night Shop. I host. You can message me, email nightshopopenmic@gmail to sign up early. Always a great time.
Well, that's awesome. So, yeah, you can see him plenty of places. You can hear him plenty of places. For me, you can, if you follow the Facebook, the Unemployed Architects fan page, I usually put a profile picture of my shows for the month. If you're on the TyJon Instagram or Facebook, I usually post weekly shows there. So just check that stuff out. Stream TyJon Charlie or the Unemployed Architects anywhere. And I think that covers it. Awesome. Well, as always, I appreciate you being here, Alex.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate anybody who takes the time to listen, and we will see you next time. I'm sure Alex will be back before too long, so we'll see you. All right. Bye.